Busted my wife cheating, so I ended her affair-partner marriage. I feel hopeless and helpless. I have no clue how to handle this. I ignored the red flags. I was so in love and never thought this would happen to me. Not with her, my wife and soulmate of almost 20 years. I work away from home and was supposed to come back tonight. We were planning to go on a 2-day road trip tomorrow. Work was slow, so I decided to come home yesterday afternoon. This trip was meant to give us some quality time since we've been busy with family and friends this summer. When I arrived home, there was a truck in my driveway that I didn't know. My neighbor had asked me how I liked the new truck, but I thought he was confused and didn't pay much attention. As soon as I saw the truck, I had a horrible feeling in my stomach. I loved my wife and trusted her fully, but that feeling was there and strong. I crept around the side of the house to our bedroom window. It was open and I could hear them as I got closer. I peeked in the window and my worst nightmare was true. They were right there, naked on my bed. I turned away. I've been resisting the urge to do something that I know I will regret. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I went to my family's cabin for the night and drank everything there. Today, I was on my way home to confront her and changed my mind. I'm not ready. All I feel is rage. All I think about is violence. I'm not in a good state right now. Not good enough to face her. I'm back at the cabin right now. I have a 60 ounces of rum, and I've been looking at it for an hour. I want to get drunk and forget this, but I don't want to get drunk and make bad choices. I know this is a crucial moment in my life, and my actions in the next few days will shape the rest of my life. That's why I'm here. I need help. I'm not ready to talk to family or friends, so I'm reaching out to strangers. Disgusting world. Update. Caught wife cheating. The support and advice I've gotten is amazing. I actually teared up just seeing how many good people there are out there willing to help a stranger. It gives me some hope for the world at a time when I needed it most. The downside to all this support is that I'm having trouble replying to people. I have over 600 private messages on social media and hundreds of comments on Reddit. I want to thank everyone personally, and I'm going to try to do that, but it will take time. So I will just start by giving a huge thank you to everyone for your nice messages and useful advice. It really means a lot to me. I have seen several comments and questions that keep coming up and wanted to give some clarity, along with my minor update. If you can't tell, I am feeling much better today. The pain almost completely faded. I still feel like I've been kicked in the stomach, but otherwise I started looking to the future. It has been 2 days, so this doesn't seem right to me. Is this the calm before the storm, or am I just unusually resilient? As for the questions and comments I've gotten, here are some quick notes to clear some things up. When I said wife and best friend, I was talking about the 2 roles my wife had in my life. The other guy was not my best friend or even someone I knew. I didn't get a good look at him, but from the glimpse and seeing his vehicle, I don't think this is someone I know. We do not have kids. We were planning to have them soon though. We recently sold our house and we were going to move closer to my job in September when the new owners move in. I am going to thank my neighbor, but I'm going to do it discreetly like he did for me. A lot of people have been asking me about the signs I mentioned missing. Off the top of my head, here are a few. She was texting unusually late at night. She went for after work drinks with friends. Often, this was not like her, but I was happy that she was being social. She had yoga once a week, but was apparently not paying because one of her co-workers was the instructor, and she was helping with setup and cleanup. I also thought she was very stiff for someone who went to yoga. Unknown caller hang-ups. We usually answer each other's phones if we are closer to it. Several times, she had an unknown caller who would hang up as soon as I answered. We receive many unwanted calls, but they are usually from salespeople or creditors looking for the previous owner of the number. Sometimes they just hang up. The update is still in progress. My brother came over and we had a long and honest conversation. He has always been my loyal best friend, and I realize I need to appreciate that and trust that he will always support me without judging, just like I would for him. He truly shows me what a real friendship is, even if we have arguments sometimes. Since I was supposed to be back home last night, I decided to reply to my wife's text. We are not allowed to use phones on site, so it made sense for me to only text her. She knows I can manage to send some texts. I told her I had to go to one of my company's distant sites, and I couldn't call her until the weekend was over. I told her I would cancel all the reservations and reschedule later. She said she could take her best friend with her this weekend to the romantic bed and breakfast on a vineyard that I booked. I knew she was lying about who she was taking. I told her I already gave it to my brother and his wife since it was non-refundable and they would reimburse me in a month. This morning, I canceled all the reservations except the romantic one. My brother is joining me. Luckily, the hotel let us change from the honeymoon suite to a room with 2 beds. There is a nice lake and boat rental place nearby. So this became a much-needed fishing trip with my brother. This means I have the weekend off. I don't have to text her or call her for a few days. So that reduces some stress and gives me more time to reflect. I'm currently thinking of getting a divorce. I honestly don't see any other option. My brother is backing me up on this, but he has asked me to take a few weeks and talk to someone. His wife has a friend who is a marriage counselor and is ready to talk to me on Monday. I don't think it will change my decision, but maybe it will help sort out some of this chaos for me. I am also following a lot of the advice on here and starting to talk to lawyers, at least to get ready for what I think is unavoidable. I want to do this right. I never thought of her as someone who would try to hurt me, but I also never expected her to be unfaithful, so I think I need to be ready for anything. Thanks again, everyone. I'm going to try to have fun this weekend as much as I can. Update 2. Busted my wife cheating. A lot of things have happened in the last few days. I'll begin with the less important stuff. My brother Matt and I drove for almost 5 hours to the B&B on the vineyard. I'm really grateful for his support through this. It was mostly a ranting session, but it really helped me calm down. After spending most of the drive complaining to him, I just needed some time by myself while he wanted to go out for dinner. I remained in the room, and he went out to eat and brought me back some food. He also managed to rent a boat for the next day. On Saturday, we went on the water. The owner of the B&B was aware of our plans for fishing and was kind enough to pack us a small cooler of food and drinks. It was their way of making the romantic package more suitable for 2 brothers. It was a nice touch. Fishing was bad. We both caught a few trout that we had to let go because of their size, so the snacks from the B&B came in handy. We stopped fishing at midday and then drove around to all of the vineyards and fruit stands, buying food and cases of wine for Matt's wife, Jen. That night, we went for the biggest tomahawk steak we could find. On Sunday, we drove back to Matt's place. He lives in the next town over from me, which is about an hour away from my place. When we got there, Jen was there and we all sat and opened a bottle of white we had cooling in the cooler. This is when the weekend officially ended for me. Jen told me that while we were gone, she decided to go spy on my wife. She told me that the guy was at my place on Friday night, all night, but on Saturday morning, she managed to get there just as he was leaving. She followed him home and found the apartment where he lived. My wife stayed over there on Saturday night, the same time she was sending me text messages saying she loves me and misses me. Jen said that she was dividing her time between visiting family who live in my town and spying on my wife. She said that she happened to catch my wife leaving his apartment on Sunday morning and took a few pics of them, hugging and kissing, before she got into her car. I have no desire to see them. That was the last straw for me. I don't think I could ever forgive her if she can switch it on and off so easily to tell me she loves me while being with another guy. Still, I decided that I am not going to act impulsively based on emotions. I need to stay calm and rational. That's when Jen told me that Sharon was coming over for dinner. Sharon is the counselor that Jen arranged an appointment for me. To be clear, she has never met my wife, and this was my first time meeting her as well. Sharon was a very kind person, and we hit it off well. After dinner, Sharon and I went for a walk around Matt's neighborhood to walk the dogs and have a bit of a private chat. Sharon was really helpful in the fact that she was a great listener and made me feel like I didn't have to be defensive. It was healing to be that open with expressing my feelings. As much as I am at ease with my brother, this was just different and very necessary.
It's the same reason why I like posting this on Reddit. It's a vent session that helps me sort out some of the mess in my mind. Our walk lasted an hour, and the only real advice that Sharon gave me was to not postpone the conversation with my wife. She said that the more I wait, the harder it will be to talk to her about this. She said I need clarity more than anything at this point, and my wife is the only person that can provide that to me. Later that night, Jen and Matt offered me to stay with them for as long as I needed. I know that Matt and I have a limit for how long we can be in close quarters with each other, so I talked to my boss, who was able to set me up in company housing. I've been staying there every other week for a while, but have to leave on days off. He managed to make it work for me to stay full-time for a few months if I needed. I decided to reschedule with Sharon for later this week. I figured our walk was enough for the first session. She agreed. I spent the night on Sunday just lying in bed thinking about how to handle this. I had trouble with this because even the imaginary scenario in my head was making me angry or sad. I decided I would just improvise. I'm usually good under pressure. Yesterday I woke up and said my goodbyes to Matt and Jen. I drove towards home and was wondering what if he was there when I got there. Then I thought that it would probably just make me angry again like I was a few days ago. I decided to do a drive-by first. His truck and my wife's car were both gone. I went inside and grabbed some essentials and things I don't want to lose, mostly just some photos and old family relics. I got them all loaded up in my truck and then drove over to the guy's apartment. Her car wasn't there either, but his truck was. I decided to text her to see where she was. She said she was shopping for groceries. I have so little trust in her right now that I drove by the grocery store and actually verified she was there. I feel so ashamed admitting that I did that, but my trust is shattered, and it's the only way I can be sure of anything. I texted her again and told her to just come home because we have to talk. She texted back, "What's wrong?" I just replied and said she needs to be ready to be truthful, and then turned my phone off. She got home 15 minutes later. When she came in, she came over to hug and kiss me like she does every time. I moved away from her. She asked me again what was wrong, so I told her that she needs to start being honest with me. She acted clueless and said she had no clue what I was talking about. I said, "Okay, if you can't be honest, then I am leaving." She started freaking out at this point and said, "Are you talking about yoga? I thought it was a beginning." I asked her what she was talking about, and she told me that she hadn't been going to yoga. Here's a bit of a summary of the rest of the conversation. Me: "If you weren't going to yoga, then where were you going?" Her: "I was taking walks to relax because I've been so stressed lately." Me: "Why were you so stressed, and why did you lie to me about what you were doing?" Her: "Prepare for the move has been stressing me out and I just didn't know how to tell you." Me: "So lying was the decision you made. What was your concern with telling me that you were going for a walk to de-stress?" Her: "I didn't mean to lie. I was worried that my stress would add to your stress." Me: "But I'm not stressed. It really seems like you are not telling me everything." Her: "What do you mean?" Me: "I think that you're lying about more than just skipping yoga. I am asking you again to be honest. You've already lied to me, so this can't work if you keep lying." Her: "I don't know what else to say." "Oh, are you talking about last weekend when I went for drinks with some friends and came home late? I had a feeling that bothered you." I had no clue that she went for drinks or was out late. I was at work a couple hours away. Me: "Is that what you actually did that night? Or was that a lie as well?" Her: "I went for drinks that night, but I didn't see her best friend who she supposedly was with that night." Me: "Who did you see?" Her: "No one. I just drank alone." Me: "You drink alone now?" Her: "Yeah, maybe I have a problem." Me: "Maybe we'll talk about that later. Last chance, be or I'm leaving." Her: I don't know what else to say." Me: "Okay, I'm leaving." At that point, I got up and left. Normally, when we have a fight, I go for a drive to get away from her. She probably thought this was the same. Then she noticed I took my clothes and toiletries as well as the Xbox. That's when she started calling me non-stop. I told her that I gave her an opportunity to be honest and she didn't, so there's nothing more to say. She cried and begged me to come home to talk about this face to face. She said she had no clue why I was so angry or what I think she did. She said again that she loved me and would never hurt me. Just listening to her say that really ripped a new hole in my chest. It was always reassuring words that I trusted without doubt. Now it's a blunt, jagged knife cutting through my heart in the most painful way. I couldn't take it, so I hung up. She called back about 40 times before I was ready to talk again. This time she said, "Did you talk to Karen, her best friend?" I asked why, and she said, "Come home, I don't want to tell you this over the phone." I agreed and drove around a bit longer to get my pulse back down. Then I went home. That conversation went like this. Her: "I assume you spoke to Karen." Me: "Her: Well, a few weeks ago, while you were at work, we went for drinks. A couple of guys started buying us drinks, so we just played along. When we were leaving, one of the guys tried to kiss me. I pulled away immediately and told him I was married. I felt so bad about it and wanted to tell you, but I'm an idiot and just decided to hide it from you. Karen hooked up with the other guy and gave his friend my number without asking me. He has texted me a few times since, but I have never written him back." Me: "Can I see your phone?" Her: "Yes." She showed me her phone, which was completely empty of texts except for myself and her mother. She never deletes her texts, so this was new. I looked at her photos, which was also clean, but then I checked the deleted photos and found one of a guy I didn't recognize. Me: "Who is this?" Her: "That's the guy who tried to kiss me." Me: "Why did you take a picture of him?" Her: "I was just being stupid." Me: "That's not a reason. Why did you take a picture of him?" Her: "I don't know." Me: "Is that everything you want to tell me? Or is there more?" Her: "That's all I can think of." Again, I left. I didn't want to be lied to bit by bit. I got in my truck and drove off. She ran outside trying to catch me, but I was already too far. I went to the park nearby and just sat on my tailgate and ate my lunch, trying to figure out what to do next. While there, I started remembering other things that I should have paid more attention to. Things like I was working a weekend shift and was in bed early. My wife went out to the club with some of her girlfriends. I woke up at 4 a.m. and she still wasn't home. I called her a few times, but there was no answer. About 30 minutes later, she called me back and asked if I would come and pick her up. When I picked her up, she told me that they were trying to get a taxi but had no luck. A couple of guys that her friend knew stopped and offered them a lift, but wanted to stop at home first. When they got to the guy's house, her married friend went into room with one of the guys. My wife said she spent some time looking for her, but then eventually gave up and just had a drink in the kitchen with the roommates while she waited. She claims she didn't hear her phone when I tried calling. We argued about this, and she was appalled by her friend's actions, so she cut that friend out of her life. I thought that was over. Another time, she traveled to visit a close friend in a different city. It was a planned girls' night. There were 4 girls all getting drunk and watching movies in their PJs. At least that's what I was told. Then she called me around 1 a.m. to say good night. We talked for about 20 minutes, and she kept telling me that they were having a great girls' night. Then I heard a guy's voice in the background. I asked who it was, and she denied hearing anything at first. Then it happened again, loudly. She couldn't deny it, so she was like, "Oh yeah, X brought a couple of guys with her. Everyone here is really mad about it." She was drunk and 3 hours away. She left me no option but to trust her. Again, we fought about that and why she refused to tell me they were there. She promised never to put herself in that kind of situation again. Obviously, that didn't last. After remembering all of those things and the conversations we had about them, I was ready to give this one last try. I turned my phone back on, and almost right away it rang. I answered, and she was yelling for me to come home. I drove back to the house. I walked inside and was instantly faced by her, crying her eyes out. She was sitting on the couch saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." I asked her, "Sorry for what?" She started rocking back and forth like a mad person. It took her a good 5 minutes to catch her breath enough to talk. Her, "I lied about the guy who tried to kiss me." Me, "Okay, tell me what happened." Her, "The 4 of us actually went back to his place that night. We fooled around. I knew it was more than that, but just hearing her say it made me feel dizzy. It felt like the room was getting smaller, and there were a million people speaking into my ears at the same time. I think I was having a panic attack. I went to the bathroom and washed my face in cold water until things returned to normal. Me, "What did you do?" Her, "Do you want me to actually tell you?" Me, "Yes." Her, "He fingered me and I gave him a blowjob." Me, "Was that it?" Her, "Yes." Me, "I'm not playing this game any longer. You either tell me everything right now, or this will be the last time we speak." She began bawling again and took another few minutes before she was able to speak. Her, "We met up again and had sex. I'm so sorry. I love you and will do anything to make up for this." Me, "Just the one time?" Her, "If I tell you the truth, please give me a chance to do anything I can to make up for it. Please." Me, "I'll think about it." Her, "It was an affair. We had been hooking up while you were out of town for work. It's been going on for almost a month now. He is married and they are about to get divorced." Me, "Does he know you're married?" Her, "Yes." Me, "If he's having an affair because his marriage is failing, does that mean you think ours is failing? Is that what you told him?" Her, "No, I don't think ours is failing. I'm so stupid. I hate myself. Please don't leave me. I can fix this." Me, "How?" Her, "Whatever you want." Me, "If you were in my shoes, or even his wife's shoes, what would fix this for you?" Her, "Knowing the truth, being able to trust you to mean what you are saying. You can trust me. I screwed up and won't do that again." Me, "If you were his wife, wouldn't you want to know the truth?" Her, "Yes." Me, "Then fix this." Her, "You want me to call her?" Me, "If you think that is what you would want." She tried calling but got no answer. A few minutes later, her cell phone rang. It showed Karen work. She looked stunned, so I knew that wasn't Karen. I asked if that was him. She said it was. I answered, and being the chicken he is, he said, "Oops, I dialed the wrong number." I said, "No, this is the husband of the girl you've been sleeping with. I'm going to let you talk to her because she has something to tell you." I handed her the phone. Her, "I told him everything. He knows the entire truth. We're done. It was just a fling, and now you need to never contact me again." I asked to see the phone before she hung up. Me, "What divorce lawyer are you using?" Him, "I'm not getting divorced." Me, "Oh, but didn't you tell me, wife, that you were?" Him, "No." Me, "Okay then, can I speak to your wife? I feel she has as much right to know about this as I do." Him, "Please man, I didn't know she was married. Don't ruin my marriage over a mistake." Me, "You ruined mine over a mistake. It's only fair that I tell your wife. Him, please don't. She's at work right now. I will tell her everything when she gets home, I swear. Me, okay, you do that. That's when I hung up. I asked my wife if she knew his wife's name and workplace. She did. I had my wife call over and ask for her at work. She managed to get her on the phone and told her to sit down. This woman said she was about to leave for the day and she would call my wife back from her car. She did. His wife. What's going on? My wife. I have something terrible to tell you, and I don't want to cause any accidents. Please don't drop. His wife, OMG, did something happen to his name? My wife. No, he's at your apartment right now. I am just letting you know that we have been having an affair for a month now. I'm coming clean to my husband right now and thought you should be given the same respect. She went silent for about a minute, then said, if this is some sick joke, I will find out who you are. Then she hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, my wife got a text from Karen at work saying, thanks, you just ruined my life. I grabbed the phone and wrote back, you just ruined 4 lives and 2 marriages. Don't forget that this was your fault, you idiot. For the next hour, my wife begged and pleaded with me to stay with her. She offered counseling. She offered to never leave my side. She even offered me sexual favors. This was everything that I expected, thanks to the comments in here. She said, let's go on that trip on her dime. We deserve a break, was her excuse. We need to reconnect because my job has been driving a wedge between us lately, was also what I predicted she would say. She was surprised when I told her that I went without her. She was shocked when I told her that I had already arranged therapy for myself. She was speechless when I told her that I caught her in the act on my own bed. I could only imagine she didn't expect me to have a place already lined up to stay. When I told her all of that, she fell to the floor, bawling. She started saying how she doesn't deserve to live. She told me I should end herself right now because she's too terrible to be with anyone. It went on like that for a while. I stayed for a total of 4 hours, listening to her make excuses, then try to hug me or cuddle me or even blow me if I would just stay and work through this with her. Finally, I phoned Karen and told her that her unfaithful friend took his own life and that she should come and watch over her. Then I walked out. It's been almost 24 hours since that happened, and I haven't talked to her since. She has been bombarding me with calls and texts all day. Her friends and family have been doing the same. Everyone has a different reason or a different request for compassion. Her father is the only one who messaged me and told me that I have to do what is right for me and that he will always care for me like a son, no matter what. Reading that was what made me sob for the first time since all of this started. I see Sharon, my therapist, tomorrow and a lawyer on Thursday. I have an idea of where this is heading, but until it's done, I'm not certain about anything. I apologize for the lengthy story. It just helps to let it out this way. Once again, I'm very grateful for all of the comments and messages. The people who shared their own stories like this are really making me feel less shattered and more hopeful. I truly appreciate everything you've all said and done for me.